Bad news for all EV lovers. Yes, you heard it right. The Australian government is ready to implement a tax on EVs in the entire country. So what is this tax all about? Let us find out. Australia is a developed country with a strong economy and high living standards. And the Australian people have a very big craze for cars. So what about EVs in Australia? EVs are also popular in Australia. Now it's the era of electric cars, and Australian car market is one of the biggest EV car markets in the entire world. But there is one very bad news for EV lovers and enthusiasts in Australia. The government of Australia is planning to bring tax on electric cars. The EV market in Australia is growing rapidly and strongly, and at the same time, the government is ready to put a tax on electric vehicles. According to latest reports from different Australian media, the government of Australia will put a tax on EVs. Victoria is the first state in Australia to adopt a road user charge, which is tax for electric vehicles, FCEV and PHEVs. The southern part of Australia introduced one as well. The Labor government in Australia made a plan for electric cars for the first time in September 2022. In November 2022, a new law was passed by the federal government in Australia. This law will give people up to $2,000 less when they buy electric or hybrid cars that use electricity and petrol. This law will also not charge extra tax for some types of car loans. The government also committed to legislating the fuel economy standards in later 2023, mainly to cap the carbon dioxide exhaust emissions on all vehicles in Australia. There are some different types of vehicle taxes in Australia, and the luxury car tax threshold among low-emission vehicles has been raised to $89,332 for the 2023-2024 financial year. The FBT savings amount in Australia has grown to $90,000 per annum for an employer, or $4,700 for an individual with a salary sacrifice agreement, a $50,000 electric vehicle in Australia. Along with this, the government removed the FBT, which is the 5% import tariff for electric vehicles, price under the LCT limit that the government has cut. According to recent reports, cutting import tariffs dropped the purchase prices by $2,500. The incentive given to electric vehicle owners are a $3,000 rebate for the first 25,000 EVs, or the FCEVs price under $68,750. The stamp duty was decreased on both vehicles, under $78,000 from September 1, 2021. The EV drivers in the country can use the T2 and T3 transit lanes across New South Wales. There are also registration fee discounts. The EV tax in Australia will start from July 1, 2027, or when the EVs make up 30% of all new vehicle sales, minus 2.80C/km BEV or 2.24C/km PHEV as of the time of publication. A battery electric vehicle, or BEV, is a vehicle that exclusively relies on electric power from rechargeable batteries. Unlike hybrid or gas-powered vehicles, BEVs do not have an alternative power sources. The energy stored in the battery pack is used to power the electric motors, which propel the vehicle forward. Unlike traditional vehicles, BEVs do not have internal combustion engines, fuel cells, or fuel tanks. All the PHEVs across the countries will be charged a fixed 80% proportion of the full road user charge to reflect the vehicle's hybrid system. Victoria is currently the only state in Australia that is actively imposing a road use charge on electric vehicles. And by watching this, other states are also ready to implement these taxes on EVs. New South Wales will also introduce a similar charge when the EVs make up 30% of the new vehicle sales, or in 2027, whichever comes first. But on the other side of the country, Western Australia plans to introduce a tax on EVs in 2027. South Australia was the first jurisdiction to propose and legislate an EV charge, but this was restricted by the new South Australian government earlier this month. The EV tax collection in Victoria is also subject to an ongoing High Court challenge. The Labor Party made a plan for electric cars on May 1 when they were trying to win the election. They said that the Electric Vehicle Council told them that a $50,000 electric car like the Nissan Leaf would cost $2,000 less if they did not have to pay extra money when they brought them into the country. They also said that the FBT exemption would save employees $9,000 a year on car costs. Adam Bandt, the leader of the Greens, said that the agreement also meant that the government would use more electric cars for their work. The agreement said that electric cars that cost less than $84,000 would get some benefits. most electric cars you can buy in Australia now would get these benefits, like the Tesla Model 3, the base Tesla Model Y, the Nissan Leaf, and the Volvo XC40 Recharge. This is somewhat heartbreaking for EV car people, but at the same time, they also have hope, as a case against the EV tax is in the courts, but I can't tell whose side will win. We talk so much about putting a tax on EVs in Australia, so actually, what is an EV? An electric vehicle is a vehicle that is powered by a battery pack. An electric vehicle uses one or more electric motors to propel the vehicle. These motors are powered by an autonomous battery, which can sometimes be charged with a solar panel. The thought of electric vehicles started in the 19th century. The first electric vehicle came into existence in the late 19th century, when manufacturers thought about what could power their vehicles if petrol and diesel became extinct. They thought of using electricity to power the vehicles. There are few EV cars in Australia compared to other big countries. This is because EV cars are expensive and few places charge them. The government of Australia does not help people to buy EV cars or make more charging stations. Some states have started to give some benefits to people who buy EV cars, like lower taxes or cheaper registration. There are about 31 different types of EV cars that you can buy in Australia now. Some of them are very fancy and fast, like Tesla or Jaguar. Some of them are more affordable and practical, like Hyundai or MG. Some of them are small and cute, like Mini or Fiat. More EV cars are coming to Australia soon. Some car companies have said they will only make EV cars in the future. The most popular EV brand in Australia is Tesla. Tesla is a US-based company manufacturer making fast electric cars of high quality. Tesla sold more than half of all electric cars in Australia in 2022. Tesla has more models of electric cars that you can buy in Australia now, two of them, the Model 3 and the Model Y. The Model 3 is a sedan and the Model Y is an SUV. These two are the most famous EV cars in Australia. The second most popular EV brand in Australia is BYD. BYD is from China and it makes affordable and practical electrical cars. BYD started to sell electric cars in Australia in 2022 and it became very popular very quickly in Australia. BYD has since one electric car model you can buy in Australia now, the Atto 3. The Atto 3 is a small SUV and it has a lot of features for a low price. The third most popular brand in Australia is MG. MG is also a Chinese car manufacturer. MG makes cheap electric cars but with average quality. MG sold many electric cars in Australia in 2021 but had some problems with its stock and new models in 2022. MG has two models of electric cars that you can buy in Australia now, the ZS EV and the HS PHEV. The ZS EV is a small SUV and the HS PHEV is a medium SUV. The HS PHEV is a hybrid car. Some other EV brands that sell electric cars in Australia are Polestar, Volvo, Hyundai, Kia, Nissan, Jaguar, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Mini and Fiat. They have different types of electric cars like sedans, SUVs, hatchbacks, sports cars and luxury cars. They have different prices, features, designs and performance, but Tesla is the most popular EV brand worldwide and in Australia. So, are you happy or sad about the tax on EVs in Australia? This will be very difficult for all the EV lovers in Australia. Will this tax implementation help the Australian government? Comment your thoughts in the comment box and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.